the thing that we've all recognized over the last, many, many weeks is that we've been forced, frankly, to really start using social media and video in a different way. Of course, I'm a video strategist, so I'm going to be speaking about social media from the perspective of video and how crucial and important it is to really be using it. Not only professionally, but personally, we've all been forced to use this video format as a lifeline. We're talking about, social isolation, quarantine, lockdown. These are terms that we didn't really use before COVID-19 happened. And now all of a sudden we're learning a new language. We're also learning a new language of communication. And that is what I want to talk about today. Video is such a powerful and important aspect of a digital online presence. And I actually brainstormed 30 different ways that video is valuable to you in your business. As a professional, you are in business, to do what it is that you do. However, video is no longer a nice to have. We've really crossed that threshold now, right? We are on the other side of this now. We're going toward a new normal. And with as many people as are using platforms like Zoom, for example, Zoom has actually more users in the first 3 months of this year than in all of last year. So what we're seeing really is just exponential use of video, whether it be video conferencing, whether it be live, or whether it be recorded video. But video, in essence, is such a valuable, and I want you to think of it as an asset. Videos can become an asset in your business. So I'll just point out a few. I'm not going to read 30 of them to you. You can certainly screen capture this if you want, or I think we could even send this deck out to you after the training. Modernizes your online presence, heightens your authority, impacting one to many versus one to one. It helps you to position you as a leader. I think that's probably one of the most important things. Boosts engagement, breeds confidence, and the list goes on. The thing I want to really preface too is that video is the most powerful medium to position yourself as an expert at what you do. And that's really what I do. I help people to be seen as authorities in their niche and make income from that. So it's about expert positioning. Video far and away is the best format from which to do that. I am also a fan of podcasting is a great platform. Writing articles is a great platform, but nothing really is the same as video. Video is the closest thing we have to being there in person. That's why we're all gravitating to video right now, because we're being forced into it. For me as a video strategist, I, in some ways, and I like the fact that some people who should have been doing video years ago, because I've been talking about this for a long time, are really being forced into it and recognizing that it's not so scary. It doesn't have to be that hard. And so I come from a long history of broadcasting, as Kathy mentioned off the top, 25 years, of which 17 I spent at the Weather Network, which here in Canada is one of the 50 best managed companies. It is one of the biggest brands in our country. Of course, we're obsessed with weather. And so I spent 17 years in front of largely a green screen, but I also taught college. I taught journalism students on TV performance. I've done a few commercials. I've managed a 17-person department, a news and information department. So a variety of different experiences that really inform and help me to help you position yourself this way. And we really think about broadcasting and what I did all professionally all those years. That is very similar to what we can do as an entrepreneur, and the business model can be similar. Let me explain. You create content, you attract an audience, and you can monetize it. The question here is, are you acing your business? Well, this is a formula. It really is a formula that you can use to help you to have online success, social media success, to really build your brand online. And so it's comprised of authenticity, A, authenticity, content, C, content, and E, exposure. If you can have these three things working in conjunction with one another, you will have success. So you can have content and be putting that out there on social media. But if you're not doing that from an authentic place, where you're not doing that from a place where you're really connecting with people, viewers don't necessarily become followers, right? You can be putting out content and having a lot of people watch it, but if it doesn't really resonate, then people just go on to the next. If you are really super authentic, and you're being yourself, and that's great, and you're creating amazing content, like you're really providing lots of value, but you're not actually using social media to put it out there and no one's seeing that content, then you remain a best kept secret. If you are authentically just saying, speaking from the heart, and you're putting that out there for social, on social media for people to consume, but your content doesn't have a lot of value to it, then it's a long road to monetization. So it's really about finding these three things and focusing on, how do I be myself? How do I stand in who I am and communicate that way? What I mean by authenticity are things like not being afraid to show your personality, not being bound to a word for word script, and being okay with making a mistake. Authenticity is really about sharing vulnerabilities and not trying to put on a facade of perfection. Those are the things that are working. They've been working, and now they're going to work even more after COVID-19, because the whole world has been exposed to a lot more authenticity in a very short period of time, and people like it. People like to connect with other people. Content is our assets. Video is an asset to your business because it can continue working to build your brand while you're working on other things. So content is really important. Again, I speak about it from the point of video, but there are lots of forms of content, right? It could be a podcast, it could be articles, but I focus on video because it's the closest thing we have to being there in person. And exposure, again, the world is at your fingertips, frankly, right? So we know that we can have global reach now, depending on what your goals are. It could be you want to dominate a specific region, you want to dominate the world. you can accomplish it with social media. So that's exciting. So question is, are you acing your business? I want you to think about these three things and as they work in relation to one another. And that's the premise from which I teach. I want to share with you something I teach, which is my 4P framework. And when I thought about, what do I name this framework? I wanted to, the marketer in me wanted to sit down and stew about this for 5 days, coming up with the perfect name for the framework. And eventually I settled on 4P. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we as entrepreneurs, we get so wrapped up in the marketing. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I want to share with you what I call the 4P framework. And it's really based on this formula: plan, produce, publish, and promote. This is the roadmap to creating, and frankly, I guess you could use it really for any content, but this is what I teach in my courses and programs, to create videos that are actually going to increase your authority and increase your income. We plan it, we produce it, publish, and promote. And I'm going to go through each of these steps and give you some tangible examples, actually, and some actionable steps that you can take with you as it relates to these 4 steps. I'm sharing, I actually just before this training, I screen captured the latest analytics on my YouTube channel that I could show you, and I think it will be enlightening. So let's start with plan. I am simplifying this to some degree for the purpose of this training, but the planning phase is really about keyword research and reverse engineering. Thinking about and doing the research necessary to find the lowest hanging fruit and opportunities, and then making the video based on that data, on that research. With this video, I found a feature that I was like, oh, that's a video feature. I'm in video, I should do a video about that. But when I went to create the video, I used reverse engineering to understand, what should the title be? How do I make the description box? What tags do I use? There's a lot that's involved, but it starts by understanding reverse engineering. And that's been the case for some of those more recent videos as well. Every video that you see that I produced this year, especially, has all been because of planning and reverse engineering. That's why it's getting those results. So the 4P framework, planning, do the planning first, then produce the video, not the other way around. So when it comes to producing videos, you don't need more than a phone or a webcam to do it. Long gone are the days where we had to have 5-point lighting systems and $50,000 broadcast cameras. I think we all know that we can produce videos on our phones. How we go about doing that, it does elude people, and I get that. That's part of what I do, is to teach people how to create these videos. And I'll tell you that all of the videos that I make for myself, and including my clients, all the ones I did for Wendy, all the ones I did for Nicole, and continue to do, were all done on an iPhone or a webcam. I don't know if any of these people look familiar to you, but these are all marketers, right? Essentially, these are all people who are in the entrepreneurial space. Right? We've got Lewis Howes and Amy Porterfield and Marie Forleo and Gary Vaynerchuk and the like. And what I did was I went back and I looked at their YouTube channels and I scrolled all the way to the beginning. And in some cases, some of these folks have been at this for 7 years, 9 years, whatever. And I went back and I took snapshots of their YouTube videos way back when. There's nothing fancy about this, right? Amy's in front of a door. Marie's sitting on a brown couch. Derek's just standing in front of a whiteboard, as is Brendan Burchard. A newspaper wall. There, you have to start somewhere. So many people want everything to be perfect right from the get-go. And I want you to let go of that. Let go of perfection. Aim for progress, right? And now I would say, yes, every single person on this screen is a multimillionaire now, as a result of starting where they were, using the tools that they had. When it comes to, again, 4P framework, plan, produce, publish. Publishing, of course, we want to publish on social media. That is the world at your fingertips. You also want to think about your blog or your website. Blogs and websites, in my opinion, especially websites, that don't have blogs, they serve different purposes now than they used to. I am not a web developer. I don't make websites. I recognize that having a website is a great hub, and I'm particularly interested in it from the standpoint of a blog, right? It's taking the videos you produce on YouTube, and for pretty much everybody on this call, I recommend that your core platform should be YouTube, because that's where the lowest hanging fruit is, an opportunity. But let's say a YouTube video, you're going to publish that and you're going to embed that on your blog. That's what I would recommend. So publishing, you want to be using social media, and how it works is that the more assets, the more video you create, the more you can build connections with multiple people. Those people then share that content if it's valuable in your niche and industry. They want to share it. And then the more people see it, the more you have opportunities, when the video is structured properly, to be able to turn that into income. So thinking about these little triangles, every time you make a video, you get a new triangle, right? So think about how many dollar signs are possible if you have a bunch of these triangles out there doing the work for you. The last part of the of the 4P framework is to promote. So that means we got the videos, we've produced them, we've published them, but we don't want to just stop there. You want to promote it. So you can promote it in an email campaign. Maybe that's a regular newsletter. You can embed it in a newsletter. You could also be using these links in groups that you're a part of on LinkedIn or on Facebook, using those groups as long as you're following the group rules. It could be in private messages, sending links to your video content in private messages to people. Hey, I just happened to do a video on that. Send them the link to your video. Suggesting your own content in your own content. It's a little bit more advanced, but that's a way to promote these videos that you've made. Scheduled posts. If you're working, whether you do it yourself or maybe you're working with, or you have a small social media team that's doing the scheduling posts with Hootsuite or something like that, that's another way to leverage your videos and to be able to get more mileage out of it as you continue on the process of building your brand. So this is a snapshot, mind map of my strategy. Now you could do something like this for yourself. This might look a little bit complex when you first see it, but hear me out. In the middle of all of this is my weekly core content. So I want you to think about what might be your core platform. Where does it all begin? So for me, like I said, my strategy this year is I want to get new people to know me, and it's working. My core platform is YouTube. So it starts with my weekly core content. From there, we take that content, and it just so happens that today is a day that I'm actually producing, and I've published my video this morning. It's shared out to Facebook with a link in the comments the first time around. Also share that to Pinterest, to LinkedIn, to Twitter. I also embed that on my blog. I happen to use KAJABI. And then it also there is a weekly email that I send out based on a template that just says, hey, the featured video of the week. And then I get more views on my weekly core content from distributing it there. And what I'm really looking to do, because the strategy for YouTube is to get as much traffic to that video, and that all roads lead to traffic there for the first 24 to 48 hours, but especially 24 hours. We're trying to drive as much traffic to that video. That helps the algorithm say, oh, something special is going on here. Let's give this more. It gives you more clout. It gives you more exposure. But I also send that video to a layout and design system that we use here in my company. And then we turn that into a vertical video to be published on IGTV next week. And it's also set up that a preview automatically ends up on my Instagram feed. I also take that content and take the audio of it and put it in which is an MP3 audio file. And then we send that to my podcast platform. And now I'm on iTunes and Spotify. Next week, 6 days from now, we take that same content, we take the video file, and we upload it to Facebook natively, not the link. You don't want to put your link for YouTube in Facebook because it recognizes that as a foreign object, and Facebook wants to keep people on Facebook. So this is a big mistake I see people make. They take their link and they post it as a post, and that's not the thing to do. You want to post it, upload it natively, and then you can, and I only do that 6 days later, because 6 days later, I'm getting ready to publish the next video because I do videos every week. Every week, I also do a weekly live stream on Tuesdays, and daily engagement posts I like Instagram stories and Instagram live. I'll typically do that sometimes multiple times a day, at least every second day. I'm posting in there regularly. Some people like Snapchat, some people like TikTok. I'm not using those platforms right now, but there's also something to be said for daily engagement posts. And especially when I publish my core content, you better bet I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to promote. Go check out my YouTube video. And if you go on my Instagram today, you'll see that, right? So it's a great way to create omnipresence. That's really what this is. It's how do you take one piece of content and get much more from it. Awesome. So I'm going to move back into my screen sharing, and we'll carry on with the rest of this presentation. I want to share with you a framework that you can use called the 3E video outline. And what the 3E video outline really is 3 stages. So this is when you're going to make a video, use this formula, use this outline. Notice I did not call it a script. I don't believe in scripting word for word. Most people, social media, you want to be authentic. Remember the ACE model. Authenticity is stunted most often when people are bound to a word for word script, when they need to memorize, when they read a teleprompter and things like that. I would prefer to coach you and guide you through a process where you just are able to create more content because you're not having to script it or memorize it or use a teleprompter. And so you're more prolific in the creation of your videos, but also more authentic. Speaking from the heart is definitely the way to go. There's no question. So it's an outline, not a script. And so it's 3 stages: engage, educate, and enroll. And we're going to go through each of these fairly quickly. In the engage stage, which is typically, the beginning of your video, you want to be thinking about grabbing people's attention. That's what the engage phase is. It's how do you get people's attention? You could use a startling statistic. You could use a bold statement of something, whether your own statement or something that someone else said. It could be a quote would be a good example, and a quick question. The question is probably the easiest of the 3. And you could just ask, you know, ever wanted to do blank, blank, blank more? Ever wanted to use social media more effectively? Right? That would be a question that you could use to grab people's attention in the early stages of your video. Educate, make it meaningful. So share 1 to 3 key ideas. You can use this for live streaming or recorded videos. Remember to speak in this phase through you, not about you. So you can use your story. You can talk about experiences you had, but always make sure that you're making it valuable to them by turning it back and saying, okay, what does this mean for you? How does this benefit you? And be results oriented in this stage. And the last one is to enroll. So give a next step. Include a call to action. What do you want them to do next? Most people miss this part. Promote platforms and content that you are on. You know, that would be a great next step that you could use. Provide more resources. You know, it could be a video you produced last week, or you know, a download of something, or a phone call, or whatever that thing may be. But you always want to be giving people a next step. You know, it's actually, you know, I think it's not really fair to leave people hanging. You know, give people a next step and let them decide. Right. So just to bring this all full circle, this does work. This does work, and this is how things can work for you as well. I'm happy to be on the call today, and thank you so much for inviting me. Hope to be speaking to a number of you, and looking forward to your applications.